that I haven't been here because I had some family stuff go on that I really didn't expect. But everything's okay, and I finished this book a couple of days ago, and I could not resist bringing you a review because this book completely threw me out of the water. It was one of the best books I have read all year. I have never become so emotionally involved in a book until I read this one. And that's saying something, because a lot of books have made me cry, but nothing like this one. I'm still in mourning. The book that I read was In the Shadow of Blackbirds by Kat Winters, and oh my god, guys, this book was to die for. I would recommend it to anybody. Now I'm going to give you a quick summary of this book, but I'm going to do it courtesy of Goodreads, because Goodreads sums it up so much better than I do, and more than likely I just end up rambling. So, let's go ahead and switch this out from my computer. Okay, alright. In 1918, the world seems to be on the verge of apocalypse. Americans roam the streets in gauze masks to ward off the deadly Spanish influenza, and the government ships young men to the front lines of a brutal war, creating an atmosphere of fear and confusion. 16-year-old Mary Shelley Black watches as desperate mourners flock to seances and spirit photographers for comfort, but she herself has never believed in ghosts. During her bleakest moment, however, she is forced to rethink her entire way of looking at life and death, for her first love, a boy who died in battle, returns in spirit form. But what does he want from her? Fearing, haunting, archival, early 20th century photographs, this is a tense romantic story set in the past that is eerily like our own time. Now guys, that sums it up more than I can think. Let's talk about this beautiful cover. Look at this gorgeous cover. I want to be this girl. This girl, she's gorgeous. This is in black and white, but if you see the color, her eyes are like really blue. I don't know if they're contacts or not, but my god, I wish my eyes were that blue. I have this really dark green. Anyway, I love her outfit and her goggles. The goggles play a big part in this story. Believe it or not, they actually do. And the ghost here. I find myself wishing that this was the photograph of her with Stephen, but then she would have been wearing a mask. But I think it would have added something. I really think it would have. I want to see Stephen. Let's go ahead and talk about this wonderful plot. Now this plot completely threw me out of the water. Now I've always loved stories about the early 20th century, especially when it has a supernatural element involved. With love, of course, I love love stories, being the girl that I am. I love reading about them. But I don't like love triangles. Those things, they're useless. Go away. And luckily the story did not have a love triangle for all you love triangle haters. Not even present. I felt every raw emotion in this book just as if I was living in this time. Kat Winters has a way of describing the surroundings. She has a way of describing the panic of World War I, the over-patriotism. She describes the Spanish influenza, and oh my god, she describes the smells. The onions. Oh my god, the infamous onions. They were everywhere. For people trying to ward off the Spanish influenza, tried to ward it off with smells to try to keep it back. So they boiled onions, they ate onions, they bathed in onions, they carried onions, they wore onions around their neck, they wore garlic, they chewed garlic gum. I'm just... still cannot eat onions. I need a couple of weeks. Oh my god. I can only imagine how bad it would be for people living in this area to actually be able to take off your gauze mask and not smell your own onion breath and just smell the fresh air. Oh my god, that was probably really rewarding. But this whole book, it felt like secrets leading upon secrets to more secrets. There was just so much involved in this book. I love the communication in this book through letters. It just felt so personal. And the flashbacks that she would have when she read Stephen's letters, it felt so real. And I felt like I was living this, and as she was falling in love with him more, and missing him and grieving over him, I found that I was falling in love with him and missing him and grieving for him, and I so desperately wanted him to live. It's sort of like, you remember that episode of Supernatural where Dean, like they get in a car crash, and Dean is supposedly a spirit, but he's not a spirit because he's not dead yet, but he's kind of in that in-between state? I was hoping to God that was what was going on with Stephen. I was going to be like, well, she's going to go save him and everything's going to be good, but if he's dead, then she's going to die and they're going to go to heaven together, because I just could not live with the thought of them being separated, because they just seemed so perfect for each other. And that ending, oh my god, words could not describe that ending. My heart crumpled and blew away in the wind like ashes. I still haven't retrieved all the pieces. pieces. I have been literally in mourning. If I had a black veil, I would be wearing it right now because Stephen and Mary Shelley and their love, and I'm just, I'm dead. I'm just a living body that's moving, but mentally I'm just dead. Kat Winters once said that she loved Alfred Hitchcock films because he had an ending that was just surprising, that you never expected to happen. And I'd have to agree with her completely. That's one reason why I love Alfred Hitchcock. And she brought this element to her story, and she completely succeeded in this. I never, in a million years, saw that coming. Never. Not once. I feel like everything tied together pretty decently. Like, you figure out what happened to Stephen and what's going on with everybody in his family, but the one missing puzzle piece is her father. You only hear from him once in the whole story, and he's in prison. I long to know what happens to this man. She misses her father so much, and I want to know if he writes more, what he says to her, if he remains in prison, or will he be able to get out? And it's so sad. I'm only going to talk about 2 of the characters because I'm running low on time, but if you want to read more about the characters, then I did more in my blog post on vivaciousfiction.blogspot.com, and you can click the link below to go read about those. I wrote about Stephen's brother Julius. I wrote about Aunt Eva and Mr. Darning, if you want to go look at that. Anyway, we'll talk about the main character, Mary Shelley Black. Now, she is the ideal protagonist. She's strong, she's stubborn, she's loyal, she's courageous. She's everything I wish I was. So reading this whole book, I was reading this girl that I wanted to be. Now, she's not perfect. She's nowhere near perfect. And she does have her moments where she falls down. She falls down on her knees pretty hardcore. But she always brings herself back up. She's a fighter. I want to be a fighter! I want to be Mary Shelley Black! She's a unique type of woman in this time period because she likes science. She likes figuring out how everything works. And this was a quality that Stephen loved about her. And that's one thing I loved about him, was the fact that he accepted her as a human being and not as a prize to be gazed upon. And God, it was such a loss, such a wonderful human being. And I keep telling myself, oh my God, Victoria, he's not real, stop! But Kat Winters wrote him in such a way that he feels real. So, moving on, since we're going in this general direction, let's talk about Stephen Embers. Now, he is a very creative, witty soul. He's a photographer. His father was a photographer, and his brother is a spiritualist photographer. His character was just so lovely. I have never mourned so long and so hard for a character in all my life. I feel like crying just thinking about him because he was so wonderful. And he's a gentle soul. He wasn't the type of man cut out for war. He's creative, and he's gentle, and he's caring. He's the type of person who captures the beauty in the world, but he shows the true intentions of other people. He's an intellectual, but he's also down to earth, and he's not afraid to tell Mary Shelley what his brother does is wrong. Now, we don't see much of Stephen in the book, only through flashbacks and then in ghost form. But what we do read from his letters and see when he finds that human part of himself when he's a ghost, then he's just... I wanted Mary Shelley and Stephen to be in each other's arms because I feel like that's what they truly deserve. They just kept fighting the whole book. Fighting for freedom and fighting to figure out what's going on. They had a type of love that was slow and beautiful in its own way. And though it wasn't passionate, I felt more attached to their love story than I have several other love stories. Because there was just something real, something solid about what they have compared to somebody falling in love in 3 days. Bittersweetly, this book is a standalone, and there will be no other books in the series. This is the only one that you get, but in a way I think that's good, because if I had to read a story about Mary Shelley that didn't have Stephen in it wouldn't feel right. I mean, I need to have a book talk about this book. If you think so, then leave me a comment, because I have so many things I need to say about this book, but there will be so many spoilers, and I don't want to ruin this for you unless you know what you're getting into. So overall, I would give this book 5 out of 5 stars, and I'm thinking about creating a new type of rating. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it yet, because I'm not sure if I 100% like it, but I'm going to let you in on my idea. And it's going to be 5 out of 5 tears. Now, whether a story was heart-wrenching enough for me to cry. Usually, if you get emotionally invested enough in a book for it to make you cry, it means it is phenomenal. Now, there's been some books that people have cried over, and I'm just kind of like, no. but I can let you in on the books that did that for me. And then you can let me know what you think about it. So, tier rating, this is definitely 5 out of 5 tiers. I boo-hooed like a maniac. I have so many emotions about this book, I actually feel like I'm leaving out stuff because there's just so much that I want to tell you. But, if you want that book talk, you'll hear all about it. So guys, thanks for watching my book review, and I have other reviews coming up for you, such as Cinder, Pushing the Limits, The Great Gatsby, The Selection, Beautiful Disaster, Daughter of Smoke and Bone. So guys, you have all of those to look forward to, and that's probably all I'm going to do all weekend is write all of those. And gradually over the next 2 weeks, we'll record some reviews for you lovely people. So what I created this channel for was to review books, and I am desperately behind. It actually kind of depresses me. I need to go write some reviews. So guys, I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will see you whenever I post my next video. Bye guys!